Hello and a very good evening to all of you tuning in. It's a wonderful day here, and we at the Papare.com thought it's a great day to have a conversation with the youngest team member in the Sri Lankan Olympian squad. She's a really energetic person, and ideally, this is the first time that she's talking to the media. And it's not a surprise, it's the Papare.com. We've been the first for many things here in the country, and we're also the first digital media entity to cover a event as big as the Olympics. So we'll be sending our very own Dinushki Ranasinghe to Tokyo to cover the 2020 Olympics. So that's a big achievement for Sri Lanka and the Papare.com as well. So we'll be giving you exclusive coverage. We'll be giving you all great content that you can ideally get to know about the Olympics in about 90 seconds in your day. So stay tuned to the Papare.com. And today we've allocated this day to talk to a special person, and it's none other than Aniqah Gaffoor, Sri Lanka's youngest 17-year-old Olympian, who's going to represent Sri Lanka in swimming. So hi Anika, how are you doing? All good?
Hi, I'm really good. Yeah, excited to talk about it for the first time.
Yes. So how's it going? I think most of your fans, most of the Sri Lankan sports fans don't know that, but you're not actually in Sri Lanka currently. You're in Thailand. So
Yeah.
how's that? How has it been adapting to conditions there? And when you come over here for our national meets, how's that transition been?
Well, I've lived most of my life away from Sri Lanka in Malaysia and Thailand. So when I come back for like nationals, it's quite a cool experience for me because it's something new every time. And coming back home and swimming at home, it feels natural to a sense. And I just feel like it's really cool to like show what I can do, even though like most people don't know me back home. Well, when I first started swimming.
But most people know you because of the Papare.com. We've been covering you a lot, so you have a lot of fans here. Don't think that nobody knows you. Everybody knows you here. So straight off the bat, you are living most 17-year-olds dreams. Most
Mhm.
17-year-old guy and girls dreams. Everybody wants to, every sports person, every athlete wants to represent their country at an Olympic game, and you at
Yeah.
17 you've achieved. So right off the bat, talk about it. Tell me about how you feel. Tell me like what's going on in your mind, what went in your mind when you first heard about it.
So it is a big dream. Like I first set out this goal 4 years ago as like a joke to myself. I didn't think it would actually be true. Like I set it out. I was first going to competitive swimming. And I was like, oh, it would be cool to do the Olympics, but I never thought it would be real. So when I like found out, it was kind of surreal, and I actually didn't believe it for a couple days, and it took me a while to actually process that I was going. But I feel like even though this is like the highest point you can get in your career, I feel like it's only the start of mine. And I feel like I will want to keep going and like hopefully get to an Olympic medal eventually. So I feel like there are a lot of emotions, stress, nerves, but more myself, I'm like excited because like right now I have nothing to lose. I'm 17 and I'm going to the Olympics, so it's like I'm going in a mindset like there's nothing to lose and I can only just go up from here.
Great. I mean, you're gonna meet a lot of great people as well, so you're gonna gain a lot of experience, and that's gonna give you the that ample boost you need to excel in your career further because you're still 17 and you have a long way to go. So, if I may ask, why swimming? There are tons of other sports, but why swimming?
That's a very good question. When I first started, like, I was always into sports as a kid, and I first like started doing Fabricia, where I would play basketball, football, athletics, and swimming along with it. So I did all the sports at one point, and I guess swimming just stuck to me, and I liked it out of this most of the sports, and like I just grew to love the sport over time. But I never started off to be a competitive swimmer. I started off on a school level, and over time I figured out, okay, I can do this and I enjoy doing it. So that's how it really started.
Right. So, I think with all the other sports also, I think it gave you it supplemented you to become a better swimmer as well. You were telling me that you did athletics, so maybe all of that helped you into becoming a better swimmer. And
Definitely.
coming back to swimming here at in Sri Lanka, how has how competitive is it coming here back to swim? Like, is the standards high enough? Like, what do you have input on that when you come to swim here? Do you come with a mindset saying, I have to be this person, or like I have to up my game, or do you come really casually thinking, you know what, it's just my day, I'm gonna
No,
finish it anyway?
I think all sportsmen have a competitive mindset and they always want to be on top. So I always go in with that mindset, like I want to win, I want to show what I can truly like do to my. And coming to Sri Lanka, like th- it's hard. It's tough competition, but at the younger age, for me, it was. I don't want to be like rude or anything, but it wasn't as hard as swimming in Malaysia, I would say. But then over time, like I moved to the senior category, and that is when it got really tough for me. But I still manage, and I think of swimming as fun. I don't want to put myself under too much pressure when I go for a competition, and like because I know I've done the hard work, so I kind of go in with a casual mindset, but I also want to win in the back of my mind.
Yeah. So you're talking about how Malaysia, it's a bit more competitive than here in Sri Lanka. So uh, do you think your school there in Malaysia and in Thailand made an influence, and how did that play a part in your swimming career?
So, I feel like both schools played a big impact on my swimming, especially in Thailand, because the school was like so accommodating with me, and they knew my goal was the Olympics. So for the past 4 years, they've been constantly helping me, like the teachers and the school. They've helped me when I go over to meets to make sure I have extra time to do work, and they also make sure we practice mindfulness in school so we can use it outside of school. And I feel like that's played a really big part, and it's really helped me balance both school and swimming. So I feel like my school is a reason I could have made it this far as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we all know that it's not easy to balance between, academics and sports as well. So, pretty sure they've done a good job. And you've also been to a lot of meets and you've met a lot of people. I'm pretty sure there's somebody that you look up to, maybe Michael Phelps.
Oh,
He's an Olympian, he's won so many. So, who do you think is your role model? Is there somebody that you can just, right off the bat say, this is my role model, I want to be like this person? Who's that to you?
um, I don't know. I feel like it's cliche to say one person. And for me, I look up to anyone I swim with or anyone out there really because they all have something to bring and offer. Especially with like the FINA program in Thailand. I've got to know these swimmers for over 3 years, and like where they've come from swimming in the ocean to swimming into a pool or swimming in their backyard to coming to this. So like everyone is an inspiration to see where they've accomplished and what they've accomplished and to show that I can do it as well. So like I look up to anyone that offers anything really. But there's
Okay,
obviously
but
the great swimmer,
give
you
me a name,
know.
Anika.
Name.
Yeah,
Um
you can tell my name also, but I don't swim.
uh I couldn't give you. I mean there's like Reagan Smith and the backstroker that broke the world record in Korea. And she was only
Okay.
like 18, so she's kind of like all those world records that get broken when they're in their teenage years, of the breaststroker who's 16 and
Yeah,
broke the world record. They all inspire me. They're like they're so young and they're breaking world records, you know.
yeah, yeah. Great.
Yeah,
So I'll also learn swimming someday and then be somebody's inspiration, hopefully.
for sure.
Uh, yeah. So you were talking about how training's been going with the schools and how you've been in different programs. So I'm pretty sure you've also trained under a lot of coaches, maybe, and had to undergo different training strategies. So, out of all those, what do you think is the, let's say, toughest part of the sport? Let's put into let's break it down like that. What's the toughest part of swimming?
I feel like swimming takes you through a lot of emotions because you have your good days and your bad days. And especially on your bad days, you just sometimes you just want to quit, go home, and do nothing. And I feel like the toughest part is getting through those days when you really don't want to swim or you're just having a really off day and you feel like I shouldn't be doing this sport, I'm not good enough, especially when you're at your lowest. I feel like that's the hardest point in training. So pushing through that and just keep going to get back to those good days is a very like the toughest part of the sport, like the mindset to keep going for a long time.
Yeah, like great point. But how do you cope up with that? How do you cope up with that pressure? So I'm pretty sure you have the school pressure as well, like we spoke earlier, and then you have the pressure
Yeah.
from peers, you have the pressure to represent your country, and also you like when you have that pressure and it all builds up on a bad day. How are you gonna put yourself back up on that day? How do you cope up with it?
Well, there have been times where I have just like gotten out, started crying, you know. We all have those days where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I feel like with especially my team, my coach, and all my friends, they're the people that help me get through those days because I feel like our team in Thailand is a very special team because we're all like family. We go by the saying, it's not team, it's family. And when they know you're having a bad day, they'll do their best to help push you, make you laugh. And they're the people that help me get through those days. And like, I wouldn't be here without them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Vin Diesel would be proud of that answer. Like he's always says, family is everything.
Yes,
I
I
hope you
love
got the
it.
reference. It would be
Yeah.
really embarrassing. All right. So uh, since we're talking about training and all that, what's the most uh, difficult, or which drill do you hate the most?
Anything with breaststroke. I cannot swim breaststroke for my life. So anything do it with breaststroke. And I actually love doing drills. For me, I enjoy the technique part of swimming. But anything to do with breaststroke, I couldn't save my life if someone asked me to do breaststroke.
Right. Okay. All right. Nice. So you've also come a long way, but you're still 17. Uh, in that time span of your career that's all now taking a burst, what's the biggest hurdle you faced so far?
Biggest hurdle. I've had many that I have to overcome, like injuries, but I feel like the biggest was COVID. Even though it's very recent, we were out of the pool for almost a year. And like I had built up this momentum for the 2020 Olympics. And to find out it was postponed by a year and we couldn't even train for that year, it was a big hurdle both emotionally and like physically, mentally. But it all, I also looked at the perspective, okay, it gives me another year to prepare, for something, and I'll be a year older, more matured. So it had its negatives, but it also had a good outcome in the end because now I feel really prepared for these games compared to last year.
Right. So you're talking about injuries. What kind of
Yeah.
injuries do a lot of swimmers, face the most? And how do you train yourself to avoid those injuries?
So I feel like a common injury for swimmers it's like your shoulders, and especially be a butterflyer, your shoulders are under a lot of stress a lot of the time. And well, our coaches believe that a lot of our injuries play from our mental weakness, and that when we get mentally tired, we put it somewhere else. So to be able to push through those injuries and come out stronger is both a physical gain and a mental gain. And I've had, especially being a teenager, you get your growing injuries because you're constantly growing and getting taller. So you face some joint pains, but it's all part of the process. And like, if you're able to overcome an injury without letting it get to you mentally, it's like a big win in the future. Like it pays off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. And also, let's talk about your career's most cherished moment. I know there's going to be a lot, but what's that
Yeah.
thing that when I ask the question, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, and even maybe makes you a bit moved? What's that moment?
I guess when I broke the 100-meter fly national record, I will like always remember that moment because the meet before that I got very close but not to it. So when I actually broke it, I was just like I was so happy and I didn't I was going for the record but honestly I didn't think I would get it as quick as I did. So I'll always remember that moment and yeah. And I remember my coach telling me like over the phone when I called him, he was like that's not true. He couldn't believe it either.
Yeah, those moments are always the best, to always look back and reminisce moments like that. So I'm pretty sure with all that you've gone through also, there are a lot of coaches and other people who have played a big part, maybe your parents as well. So do you want to talk about that peer support that you've gotten from your circles and your parents and your friends and your coaches, who
Well,
has
my
given like
parents,
been backbone?
I feel like your parents are always there for you. You like when you're at your lowest and your highest, they're always going to be there. So they are like the biggest support group I can ask for. And my brother, like even though like he lives in Australia, he's always like called me, make sure I'm okay before training. So they're constantly there. And I'm also a big support group. So my coaches there, even though they're hard on you at times, they only want the best for you, so they're a big support group, and especially my peers, my friends at school, at swimming, outside of school, they always help me. Like, and they've always supported me for this Olympic dream. Like, they always knew I could do it, even when I thought I couldn't. So that's a big support group.
Yeah, that's true. And your brother must be a really proud brother. Same with your parents and everybody else. So we're all proud of you as well as Sri Lankans, Anika. And I'm pretty sure they were really emotional when they heard the news as well that you were chosen into the Olympics. So how was that day? How did they react? How did your parents react when they first heard?
I think they knew before I did, but but then when I found out, I almost started crying, but I didn't want to because like this is a good thing. And it was really emotional. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is not true. Like it can't be. And then it was just an emotional day, but it was also just full of happiness. Like it's everything's paying off, and it's finally like come true. Because I wrote this on my wall in Malaysia like 6 years ago, and and it was just a dream, and now it's true. So everything's like falling in place. That's how it felt.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Someday soon I'd ask you to send a picture of that ball so we can put it up on the Papare as
I
well to
think I
show.
have.
You to
Yeah.
send it over to me so we can do something with that as well. And talking about, let's come back to swimming and the Olympics. So, like you were telling me earlier, the biggest hurdle has been COVID, especially since you've been out of the pool for about a year. So now we are almost not even a month before the Olympics. How is prep going so far, and how have you all adapted to the new normal? And how's training going with that?
It's actually going really good. Like preparation for since like for Thailand, COVID ended a while ago because our restrictions were so strict at the start. It was so now things are like back to normal, and they've been normal. And I honestly feel really prepared for it. Like in training, I'm hitting my times that I need to be to go and break my national record in Tokyo. So I'm going in with like full confidence that even though we went through COVID, I'm back and like better than where I was pre-COVID.
That's actually really good to hear as well. Going in with full confidence, and I know you're going to do good as well. So, what are your expectations going into Olympics with this confidence?
I know I'm not going to win a medal or like get to finals or anything. So my goal is to just break the national record as a that's like my main goal. Like just go and break my personal best, the national record, and like just make Sri Lanka proud. Because I don't think a record has been broken yet at the Olympics for swimming. So it'll be cool to be like one of the first for
Brilliant,
swimming.
brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a great objective to have, and as well, and it's good that you've come into terms with what you can do and what's not out of your reach. So that shows a lot of maturity for your age, and kudos to you for that, and now also to your coach and all of that. So it feels like you are really beyond your age. I can't believe that you're 17 with all what you're saying. But anyway, uh, what's the best advice you've gotten so far? I will advise you later after the show. You can then you can add it to your books. But before my advice, what's your best advice you've gotten?
Um, my best advice. My coach has told me like even if you do bad at the Olympics, it doesn't determine your whole life. It doesn't define you as a person. And I feel like that has stuck with me because it took away some of the nerves that I had because like now this one meet, yes, it shows my potential, but it doesn't define me as a person because there's so much more, and sometimes it just depends on the day. And also, like another piece of advice, like when you've gotten to the point in swimming where you just want to quit, it shows that you care the most and that you've invested like your whole body into the sport. And it shows you that you really care, so there's no point in quitting. But the fact that you've gotten there shows how much you put into it and how much you really care about the sport. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I'm not gonna give you advice better than that. uh, so
Please do.
yeah. Before we reach the end of the show, I want to ask you. So, how would you describe Aniqah Gaffoor in 3 words? Make it, just 3 words to describe Anika for anybody who doesn't know.
Um, I'm very friendly as a person, even though it may not seem like it. Like I'm very friendly, and I love making new friends. Um, I would say quite energetic. I don't know if that makes sense. I always like to have like a good time and make the most out of situations and like times. And third word, I don't know. I guess I'm like a go-getter, if that makes sense. Like if I put my mind to something, I really want it. I will try my best to get it. Like with the Olympics, like I put my mind to it, and like 4 years later, it's true. Yeah,
That's
I guess those 3 words.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I just say, champion, champion, and champion. So that's what you've been so far.
Thank you.
And also, if not swimming, actually, if let's say swimming did not exist, people didn't realize that they can swim with their hand and their feet. What would you have become?
That's a good question. I feel like I would. I don't know. Like it maybe. Like I like going to the gym a lot, especially with my dad and my brother. We all love going to the gym. Maybe I'd become a gym freak. I don't know. It's hard for me. I don't know another sport that I would do as competitively as swimming.
But just give me
Yeah.
one, apart from the gym.
Okay.
Maybe since you were in
Basketball.
Malaysia, maybe like something like sepak takraw. No,
Sorry. No, I would say basketball would be my next option.
nice.
Yeah.
Basketball. All right. So, uh, you told us what the best advice that you got was, and now it's time for you. I mean, I know you're 17, but what would you tell the other younger swimmers out there? What's the advice Anika would give them so that they can tell,
Uh,
you know what, Anika did this.
I mean, I would say like when you're at your lowest points in training and you just don't wanna, just keep going, go through the pain, go through the emotions, because in the end, it's all worth it, and it only makes you a stronger person in the future. Yeah, just keep pushing through the times when you're at your lowest.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's great advice for the youngsters as well. And we've also reached the end of the show, Anika. I hope you actually had a good time. But
Yeah,
before we go, I'd also like to talk about the Olympian. I'd like to wish you all the very best and also give you some just to remind you that we at the Papare.com and from Sri Lanka, we all back you up and we always have
thank
your back so that we always cover you guys. And also, since you'll be going to Tokyo soon, what's the first thing you'll do when you reach there in Japan? There are a lot of things to do. Are you a fan of the anime and the Japanese culture?
Not anime, but I'm always opening to learning about new cultures. I really love discovering, like, when I moved to Thailand, everything was so new, but I like fell in love with the culture and the people, and so I'm excited. Even though there are like COVID restrictions itself within the games, I hope like we can like learn more about Japan itself. So I feel like the first thing I'll do is just like take a moment and like take it all in before anything, like yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, also, I just like to remind you, don't run away or jump into the pool when my friend Dinushki comes and asks for interviews from you. Talk to us, tell us how you feel,
Yeah,
tell us how your day went, and make sure that everyone's following you because we just want to create that audience and give the Sri Lankan people the right information that they need and the content that they need so they can actually follow all of our Olympians because you guys deserve that and we really want to be there for you. So that's what we're here for, and we'd love to give you all that opportunity as well. So thank you, Anika, for joining and talking to us, talking to me, and making this day a little bit
having
better,
me.
giving advice to all of the youngsters as well.
Thank you for
Any
having
final
me.
Any final things to say before we conclude?
I think that's it. Yeah. Nothing.
All right, Anika, great seeing you and hope you have a great day as well. Good luck in Tokyo. We'll be there to cheer you on.
Thank you very much. You too.
All right, so that was Aniqah Gaffoor, Sri Lanka's youngest Olympian, just at 17. But as you saw, she's mature and she's really going with full confidence. And we're sure that she'll be able to break the national record here at Tokyo. So just to remind you again, the Papare.com will be at Tokyo. The University Ranasinghe will be giving you exclusive coverage and great content. So www.thepapare.com/Olympics is the hub. Everything you need to know about the Olympics is right there. So make sure you go log on to www.thepapare.com and find out all of the content and back our Olympians up, because we are sure they're bound to do great things. So follow the Papare.com, follow our Olympians, and give them a chance. I'll see you next time. I'll see you midway in the Olympics, and I'm privileged to actually be talking to the Olympians and bringing that content out, because we have to be there for them and they'll actually do good for the country as well. So until we meet again, stay safe, stay indoors, be safe, and follow the Papare.com. Take care.